Hello, everybody, and welcome to our Graduate Admissions Online Forum. My name is Pat Phelan, and I'm the Assistant Dean for Graduate Programs here in the Ira A. Fulton Schools of Engineering. And I'm joined here by Ganesh, the Vice President for the Indian Students Association, and he's going to speak a little bit later about that particular organization, which I think you're going to find very, very helpful. So first, let me talk a little bit about the agenda and really what we want to accomplish today with this online forum. In part, really, we're trying to address any questions or concerns that you may have about pursuing your graduate studies here at Arizona State University. And so at the end of this presentation, this is just about 10 or 11 slides, we're going to give you some time then to submit questions, or especially we want to hear your concerns about coming to ASU and whether those concerns involve ASU specifically, or maybe these are larger national or international issues. We really want to hear those concerns, and please let us know about those. And so at any time during this presentation, you're welcome to type in your questions or concerns or comments. And then at the end of the presentations, we're going to go through those one by one by one. I'm going to read them out, and then we're going to do our best to address them here. And so the next item on the agenda is really talking about the Fulton Schools of Engineering, a little bit more about what we're about. And then we want to address three different groups of applicants. One would be admitted students. The other would be students who have started an application but haven't completed it yet, or so-called incomplete applications. And then finally, students who have completed their application, but they're still pending review. So you haven't heard back yet from us about whether or not you've been admitted. And then, like I said before, at the end, we're going to have a time available for questions, comments, concerns that we'll try to address. So first, let's talk a little bit about the Ira A. Fulton Schools of Engineering. We have a fairly unique administrative structure in that the Schools of Engineering, that's schools plural, consist of 6 schools. And each of these schools is really an interdisciplinary set of programs into themselves. So, for example, on the upper left-hand side, you see the School of Biological and Health Systems Engineering. So this school houses our bioengineering programs as well as our biological design program. Next, we'd have the School of Computing, Informatics, and Decision Systems Engineering. So this includes computer science, it includes industrial engineering, and also partly includes our interdisciplinary computer engineering program. Next, we have the School of Electrical, Computer, and Energy Engineering. This is largely electrical engineering, but it also houses a portion of the computer engineering program that I mentioned earlier. Going down on the bottom row, we have the School for Engineering of Matter, Transport, and Energy. This includes chemical engineering, material science and engineering, as well as mechanical and aerospace engineering. Followed by the School of Sustainable Engineering in the Built Environment. This is civil, sustainable, and environmental engineering, as well as construction management. And finally, we have the Polytechnic School, which houses actually a very large number of programs, including, for instance, human systems engineering, general engineering, systems engineering, and so forth. All told, we have about 4,000 graduate students in engineering. So this is a very large number. About 3,000 of those 4,000 students are master's degrees. And the vast majority of these students are on campus here in Tempe, as well as in our Poly campus, which is close by. We like to say we're not your typical engineering school, and there are a lot of things that make ASU unique, and especially the Fulton Schools of Engineering. So on the right-hand side, there are some particular numbers that we want to bring your attention to, and one that we're particularly proud of is that for the second year in a row, ASU has ranked #1 in innovation by US News and World Report. And so that means we're beating out schools like Stanford and MIT and all those kinds of places 2 years in a row. And that's something indeed that we're very, very proud of. The next item is in terms of engineering graduate enrollment. We're one of the very largest engineering schools in the United States, #3, according to the American Society for Engineering Education. And we're also very highly ranked in terms of the employability of our graduates. As you can see here, we're in the top 10 in graduate employability. And finally, we're also very large in terms of the number of international students attending ASU. We're ranked #4 there. And we're in company of other universities such as NYU, USC, Columbia University, and places like that. So we're indeed not your typical engineering school. We're also proud to say that the Fulton Schools of Engineering are different. They're some ways, better than your typical engineering school. And that's because we emphasize some particular things here. So one would be some additional services that are provided to our students. So at the top of the list, we show there the Fulton Schools Career Center. The Schools of Engineering has its own career center. So here on campus, you actually have access to two different career centers. One through the Fulton Schools, which is just for engineering students, and then the other one is the campus-wide career center. And in fact, right now, there's ongoing a career fair by the Fulton Schools Career Center, and so this is just for engineering students. Another item that we like to emphasize is that the entrepreneurial mindset of our students is very, very important to us. And in fact, we have lots of opportunities here for you to apply for funding, for access to mentors, for access to space and facilities to pursue a commercial dream or a commercial venture, whether it be a for-profit venture or a nonprofit venture. So there are many different competitions, opportunities here on campus for you to pursue your entrepreneurial goals. And then finally, we have research and experience. So ASU and the College of Engineering is home to 4 different National Science Foundation funded engineering research centers. And these span the spectrum from solar energy to water treatment to geotechnical engineering, as well as power systems engineering. And so on top of those engineering research centers, which are very major research and education efforts, we have a lot of other projects going on as well. And in fact, the College of Engineering, we have about $100 million in research expenditures every year. And so that means there are a lot of research assistantship opportunities available, especially at the PhD level. And on top of that, we have a number of teaching assistantships available as well. So I mentioned a moment ago that right now there's this ongoing career fair from the College of Engineering Career Center. And these particular companies listed here are recruiting students as we speak here at ASU. And these particular companies have indicated a willingness, and in fact they're eager to hire international students. And so this gives you a flavor that indeed a large number of companies come to us at ASU seeking our graduates. We'd also like to point out a couple of examples of recent engineering graduates from ASU. And so one is Max Prasad. So as you can see here, he's originally from New Delhi. He got his bachelor's degree from the Vellore Institute of Technology. He received his MS degree in computer engineering. So that's that interdisciplinary program I talked about. That's a kind of a joint program between computer science and electrical engineering. He was able to do an internship during his studies. In fact, he also received support to go to an innovations conference in France during his time here at ASU. And since his graduation, he's been working at Microchip Technology as an applications engineer. Another example is Sundar Karthik. So he came to us with his bachelor's degree from Pondicherry University, as you can see here. He received his master's degree in electrical engineering in 2012. He also did an internship. In fact, he did an internship during his studies at ON Semiconductor, and that led to a full-time position as a field sales engineer, where he's been working again at ON Semiconductor since the year 2012. So these are just two examples of our recent graduates and what they've been able to achieve with their education here. And so with that, I want to turn the floor over here to my colleague, and he'll talk a little bit more about the Indian Students Association.
Thank you so much, Dr. Phelan. My name is Ganesh Trivedi, and I am the Vice President for the Indian Students Association on campus here at ASU. And the Indian Students Association is a collective family of Indian students. And at this point, I would like to mention that if you're coming to ASU, you will not feel away from home, because there is a large population of international students and specifically Indian students, which creates such a strong support group that you don't really have to worry about being home. A lot of times people have concerns that they're stepping out of their house for the first time in their life, they're away from their family, but honestly you're not, because the support group here is so strong that you don't really have to worry about it. So ISA does a lot of it provides a lot of services to students, and it's a sort of connect between the Indian students on campus and the management. So beginning with pickups from the airport. So the moment you land, we have volunteers at the airport to guide you, help you move around, help you deal with transportation and getting to where you really want to get to. We do that. We also provide temporary housing for about 2 or 3 days if you haven't found housing yet. And I would highly encourage you to go join the ISA site on Facebook, the ISA page on Facebook. Check out the ISA site and just have a look at the services that we provide. And honestly, everyone who gets here ideally finds a roommate or ideally finds someone to live with, or a place to live at even before they're here. So the best strategy would be to plan ahead if you're getting here. For those who haven't gotten admission, like Dr. Field mentioned, hang in there. I'm pretty sure they're working hard at it. The moment you get an acceptance, go onto the ISA website, the link for which is provided below, and just go through all the services that we provide. So I think that pretty much wraps up. And just to add in a side note here, ISA doesn't just provide services to students. ISA acts as a family for the students here. We regularly have events which bring out the Indian culture here, and we try to showcase that not only to our Indian students, so you won't feel away from home, but we also try to spread this culture around ASU and sort of show it to everybody out there. So we're really looking forward to see you guys here.
Well, thank you very much, Ganesh. All right. He'll be on hand also to help answer questions at the end of our talk here. And so now a couple of these other groups of applicants I want to talk about specifically, and one would be incomplete applications. So every year we have a fair number of applications that are started, and then for whatever reason they're not completed. Okay, so maybe they're missing letters of recommendation, they're missing transcripts, whatever. And so people maybe don't follow through on that application for all sorts of different reasons. And one of the reasons may well be that, now that we're past the priority deadline, maybe they might think that there's no point in completing it, all right, and submitting the entire application. And so what we want to emphasize to you now is that there is still time to finish your application and have it be considered for fall 2017 admission. So there is still time. So if you're still interested in coming to ASU to pursue your graduate studies, then by all means, please complete that application and it will be evaluated. So if you're missing something, or maybe you're not sure what you're missing in your application, please go to My ASU, and that will tell you specifically which items that you need to complete to finish that application. So again, there's still time, all right? So please finish that application. The other group of applicants would be those who've indeed finished or completed their applications, but you haven't heard from us yet. And so that's really on us. And so I want to tell you that we haven't forgotten you. As you can imagine, we get lots of applications, and it does take time for us to go through all of them. And so please be patient. If you want an immediate update on the status of your application, I encourage you to contact the email address that I'm going to show you on the next slide. And then someone then can follow up with you and let you know what is the status of your application. And so speaking of that, this is the email address that we encourage you to submit questions to after this online forum. So it's fultonschools@asu.edu, and we'll make sure that it gets routed to the appropriate program who can then address your questions as needed. And so now we'd like to open up the floor to not only questions, but like I said before, we really want to hear your concerns. So what are you worried about? What are you concerned about coming here to ASU? And again, these could be concerns specific to ASU. It could be larger concerns. We'd really like to hear them. And so with that, so I'm going to start reading off some of the questions. Again, you need to submit these through the comment box. So first question, what is the process of applying for research assistantships and teaching assistantships? And so I'll take this question. So depending upon your program, but this is largely true regardless of your program, I should say, if you're interested in a research assistantship, what you really need to do is to contact the relevant faculty in your program, all right? So research assistantships are all decided by faculty, And they use their research grants that they've gotten, through blood, sweat, and tears, to support students. And in fact, the vast majority of the research support, that $100 million that I mentioned earlier, goes to support graduate students in terms of research assistantships. So that's what you need to do. You need to reach out to faculty, contact them, email them, read up about their work beforehand. So in other words, do some homework before you reach out to them. Find out what kind of things they're doing in terms of research. Get one of their recent papers, read it, comment on it, and let them know that you're interested in how your skill set could potentially aid them in their research. And there's a fair amount of luck to this, because you have to contact a faculty member who's indeed looking for a new student to support. So there has to be this kind of a match being made. But the first step is to reach out to these faculty members. In terms of teaching assistantships, these are also, if you reach out to faculty, sometimes they can help you to obtain a teaching assistantship, in the sense that they can recommend some students for TAs, for teaching assistantships. Largely, these are decided at the school or the program level. All right. Let's go on to the next question. I'm sorry. So the next question is, by when are the admits rolled out? And so that is actually, rolled out is a good term here, because there's sort of a rolling process, right? So we've already started that process. So many of the admission decisions, in fact, have already been made. And something that we're working on this year in particular is to expedite the process as much as we can. And so we're very much encouraging all the programs to turn around those applications as quickly as possible and come to admissions decisions. And once that decision has been made, then you're notified about it right away. So the next question. Does the MS in Construction Management program include any internships during the course of study? And I have to look at my colleagues here, because I don't know the answer to that. So I'm told that that is indeed a possibility. So it's specific for construction management. Next question. How can one convert a non-thesis admit to a thesis one? And the second part of this question is, and what would be the right time to do it? And so this, again, it really depends upon your relationship with the faculty member, because in order to convert from a non-thesis to a thesis option, you have to make a connection to a faculty member, and that faculty member has to agree then to chair your thesis. And so establishing that contact through emailing or by whatever other means is crucial here. The right time to do it, you can try to do this before you arrive. You can also convert after you arrive. And in fact, I think many times this is done after you arrive, because that's when you really have a better chance to meet faculty. You're taking their courses, or you meet them in some other sense. And that makes it a lot easier than to establish that personal relationship with the faculty member. Next question. Is construction management considered STEM? I am wary about the H-1B visa. Should one complete this construction program or try for a STEM program? And again, I'm going to have to refer to my colleagues here, I think, to help answer this question.
Sure. The construction management, I am not sure if it's STEM or not, but I can understand the reason people are asking that question, because if you're in a STEM major, you get the regular 12-month OPT, and then there's a 24-month OPT that goes for the STEM majors. For H-1B visa, if you have a 36-month time on OPT, then there are at least 3 chances of getting on the H-1B visa. We've not had issues with students getting on H-1B visas, but that's a different visa category. That's a work visa category. You have to work through your student visa, go on OPT, and then usually you get on the H-1B. My name is Holly Singh. I'm the Senior Director for the International Students and Scholars Center.
Thank you, Holly. Next question. Do you know any student who pursued his Master in Construction Management, which is non-STEM, and got an H-1B visa? I think that's a pretty similar question, so maybe I'll defer that, unless you want to add more to that.
Well, I think people get H-1Bs in all different categories. So H-1B is not related just with STEM. People in arts get H-1Bs. People in business get H-1B. So H-1B is not restricted to just STEM fields. And you don't even have to have a degree from the U.S. to get a H-1B visa.
I think we would encourage them to email us with their contact information, and we will research that and get back probably within 24 hours.
Okay, thank you. Next question. I have been admitted at ASU for an MS in software engineering and also an admit for MS in the CS program at USC. Which one will be a better choice? That is a very good question. I think that depends a lot on you. There is a difference in costs between ASU and USC, and I'm sure you're aware of that. To me, that's almost an individual decision. I don't think there's a blanket answer to that. Does anyone else want to add to that answer?
Of course, ASU.
Well, yes. That's what I was leading up to. ASU is always the better answer. No. All right. Next question. Do our salaries depend on the university rankings from which we are graduating from? I personally have not seen a correlation between university rankings and salaries. Perhaps, I don't know if any of my colleagues have. Everyone?
I think the salaries are largely driven by where they would be working. So if one of our graduates is going off to the Bay Area, that's certainly going to be a higher salary than it might be in other areas.
Okay. Okay. So this is bringing our session to an end. So we encourage you to submit any future questions. And again, future concerns. We're also very interested in that to the email address shown on your screen. And I'd like to thank you for your attendance. We really appreciate it. And I'd like to thank my colleagues here and around the table that you cannot see. And we hope to see you here at ASU in the fall. Thank you very much.